Um, Define and explain juvenile delinquency. The book states juvenile delinquency as an act committed by a minor that violates the penal code of the government with authority over the area in which the act occurs. Using a self-report questionnaire that is anonymous allows analysis to study the causes and correlations in delinquency. Doing several studies help to answer the questions pertaining to delinquency. About mostly all juveniles who commit delinquent acts have a reason due to an underlying issue. Identify some of the major causes of juvenile delinquency. There are many causes to juvenile delinquency, one of those mainly involving some type of life circumstances. These life circumstances such as poverty, their government, environment, parents, or anything that was life traumatic. There's something that is brought up in juvenile delinquency cases about the child's background and relationship with the mom and dad. A child who is experiencing financial problems is more likely to steal, but as we all know, it is morally wrong to steal. Importance of the public school system relative to the detection and prevention of juvenile. It is stated, Feldhausen, Thurston, and Binning's longitude study found school relationships and experiences to the third most predictive factor in delinquency, surpassed only by family and peer group relationships. These troubled teens ultimately start teaching those around them delinquent behaviors. They believe it will make them look cooler or socially acceptable into that third group. The problem overseas that have an influence upon juvenile delinquency between peers, parents, and school. I would believe peers, parents, and schools are the biggest influence upon juvenile delinquency. These are all influences that they take advice from, as we all start with problems within the relationship between the juvenile and the parent. One of those factors include a broken home. This debate, if a broken home contributed to juvenile delinquency, has been proven with research. With this extent, research studies have shown broken homes tend to affect female juveniles. Explain the proceedings of the juvenile court system. The reasons for the juvenile court to restore, help, and forgive is to restore, help, and forgive those adolescents have the right to shelter, protection, and proper guardianship. The author Bartolos states the concept of the juvenile court was rapidly accepted across the nation. 31 states had instituted juvenile courts by 1905. And by 1928, only 2 states did not have a juvenile court statute. This also includes cases involving adoption, termination of parental rights, custody, appointment of guardians for minors, contributing to delinquency or neglect, and non-support. They include the detention hearing, intake process, and the transfer proceeding. These take place before the adjudication stage. During the trial stage of juvenile, it's divided into, I think it's adjustment hearing, the disposition hearing, and the judicial alternative. Compare the advantages and disadvantages of juvenile incarceration. The general problem with the juvenile system is that society doesn't know how to set limits. Not setting limits to the growing number of troubled teens will cause them to continue acting such way. Children advocates have spoken out about the harsh conditions in which these young offenders are housed in institutional care to serve their sentence. These conditions causes juveniles to get out worse than they were when they entered. Improving that environment helps these children to want to improve their future. Describe juvenile rehabilitative programs. These volunteer opportunities can help to learn how teamworking skills. It helps them build a social character. Other programs can also include group homes to juveniles who majorly have difficulty with the supervision of probation. These juveniles can also be put into these residential placements when released from a training school. If juveniles aren't looking at residential programs, they can look into day treatment programs. These are community programs that can include wilderness programs that helps to provide adolescent self-worth. I think that's what it was. Discuss the relevance and dynamics of gangs as they relate to the detection and prevention of juvenile delinquency. This topic isn't something that people are unfamiliar with. The relationship with with gang members and juveniles, since gang members' morals support those criminal activities, especially those who are innocent. These gangs can also come from schools and not just the streets. Gangs include groups of teens who take authority of an affiliation to a certain group, often to spread violence and create graffiti on school property. We as adults should see the signs that confirm affiliations with gangs perform in illegal activities.